right. I got 3 here, and they're obviously, very obviously, does anybody doubt that they're all by the same maker? Again, who wouldn't want to sit in this rocker? Never on the front porch. There's no way this is going to sit on my front porch. This is just way too nice. Obviously in a Maloof style. Just a really, really, really beautiful piece, and I want to point out some of the difficulty and interesting bits that I found. One is the joinery, and this is throughout all of these pieces. It's a tongue and groove joint going this way in, but it's rounded pieces on top and bottom. That's a really difficult joint to do, and the maker has done it on basically all of the major joints here. So just a tremendous amount of work going on there. In this piece, he's got, the back slats are steam bent, but they're laminated together. Are they steam bent? Where's the maker? No. You cut them that way.
Laminated glue.
Oh, glued onto a form. Okay, so it's laminated together. But very, very consistent, which is nice and incredibly hard to do. Steam bending or the other way, getting them all the same is difficult. The other thing that you did on this chair that I just love is the holes that these are stuck into are oversized slightly. And that's not a flaw, because that gives you just an incredible amount of spring. A lot of spring in this. So when you sit in this wooden back is going to conform. That's really cool. Again, I did not sit in your chair, but I imagine that this thing is I imagine it's very comfortable. A couple of other choices. There's sapwood here. Normally that might be a flaw, except it's right on the dividing line. This is where the 2 pieces glued together, and it's right in the center. It's perfectly positioned. Very well done. He's got a contrasting wood glued into the top here, but again, where there's some sap, he positioned it so that it becomes a feature, not a detail. If this were even an inch this way, it would be a flaw. But it's not, because it was a choice, and he made it that way, and it centers the thing and makes it look so beautiful. You've got a contrast among all of these joints. You're going to have a contrast there. Even if they were cut from the same piece of wood, this is end grain, and this is not. You're never going to finish those 2 the same. So he didn't try. He let the contrast be there, and it works so well on this seat. It's just beautiful. And then the bentwood rockers themselves are again laminated together, and even though it's an organic form with almost no straight lines, he did a marvelous job of lining up the inlay so that it's centered all the way through. It works, and they're both the same. So did you do them as one piece and cut them in 2, or are they 2 separate glue-ups? That's really hard to do, and he did a wonderful job. And some of the design elements, again, notice that there's a little bit of lighter wood, sapwood here, and a little bit lighter here as well. Matched, balanced, very nicely done. And I love the cutouts here. Now, we've got one thing. There's a little bit of black epoxy in a knot down here, which is totally okay. I don't really have a problem with it. I might have gone with a slightly different color. And then up here, I actually thought that somebody had mistakenly put a marker on it. It looks like somebody sat down in the chair with a magic marker and just kind of accidentally hit the edge. I was told that it's a bandsaw mark that was filled. My wife had a really good suggestion. One thing you could have tried to color it more, but you didn't, so it became a design element. If you're going to make it a design element, there's an Oriental tradition of, if a piece of porcelain gets broken, a nice cup or whatever, you repair it, but you do it with silver or gold, so that you don't try to hide it. That's part of the history. Oh. But now but because you did it with a high quality material, it becomes part of the design. A gold fill here might have been, or a silver fill might have been a beautiful touch. But you did it. But if that's the biggest complaint I got on this piece, man. Now again, though, we're gonna talk about wood movement and things like that. The plugs on the side of the chair, here and here, he's got plugs where the screws that hold the back splat in are there. I'm quite convinced that when you finish this chair the first time, these were dead flush. And they have swelled out over time. This is where a scraper would do a nice job, and you could clean it up and then just touch up the finish on it. But again, you're going to get that. And in a few places along some of these pieces, you can feel the difference. End grain versus flat grain. There's really very, very little you can do with it except time and then eventually a refinish. But again, it's such a minor detail. This is a brilliant piece and very, very well done. I'm going to skip a little bit here. I'm just going to jump over the table because this is another chair, so let's talk about another chair while we're at it. And again, we don't have to identify the maker. We already know who you are. It's so obvious. But this is almost a sister chair. Yes. There's, there's a dining table that matches the chairs, and these chairs are part of the dining table. So once again, we've got these are not quite as springy, but they're dining chairs, so they're really not there. Yeah, they're shorter. Right. No, I know. Dining chair isn't really built as much for comfort as a rocker would be. Yep, it's got a nice bend to it. It's got good lumbar support. I would be willing to bet that this chair sits very comfortably. I also like, it's a minor detail, but if you look at the back splats, they're not all the same. So the center one is balanced with the little cutout here on both chairs very nicely, and then the outer ones are different, but they're different as mirror images of each other going out. Very nice detail, not something that is obvious to begin with, but again, it's one of those elements that takes a piece from this to that. Nicely done on both chairs. But it's, even though these are sisters and obviously from the same maker, it's not just a smaller repeat of the same thing. So he has a different back splat design, the crown is designed differently, the splats are designed differently. Here he had a little bit of the sapwood and actually book matched it right through the center of the chair. Again, probably very wasteful to do it that way. He probably had to waste a lot of wood to cut it, or maybe you got lucky. But if you look at a set of these chairs, they're probably not all identical because it's wood. But it's a really nice detail the way you did that. It could have been a flaw, but it became a choice, and it became a design element that really sets it off. Well done again. Same type of joinery on the legs. It's just a beautiful piece. The front legs splay very slightly, and the back legs come out, at a nice curve. There's only two places on here that your organic flow is interrupted slightly, and I'm not even going to point them out. I'll let people try to find them themselves. But other than two spots where it looks like maybe there was a flaw in the wood or a crack that got sanded a little more than you would have liked to if you had had a choice, I'm not even going to point them out. I'll let people try and find them. I know you do, but I'm not going to point them out. Let other people try to find them. When you build your own piece, you know where all the flaws are, and every time you stare at it, you're like, damn, that's all I can see. But it is. But this is a brilliant chair, and it's very well done. Nicely, very well done. Now the table here, again, same style. He has photos here of a dining table that matches the chair here, but this is a nice little console table designed to go on a wall, in a hall, very nicely done. I love the element where the back legs are flush with the tabletop, but the front legs are purposely designed to protrude forward.
There's a picture in here that shows the three pieces that has a mirror over it.
Yep.
It emulates that shape.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful shape. I love the fact that, I don't know if it started as a flaw and you decided to carry it on or if it was a design choice, but the rear legs, they curve inward very, very slightly from top to bottom. But when I was looking at it, the first thing I thought was, oh, that's terrible, it warped over time. But then I noticed, A, they're both the same, and B, they're side to side, but not front to back. Those are perfectly aligned front to back. Interestingly, on a console table, usually there's a base molding where the console table is going to go. You could have actually curved that inward that way instead, and then when you put it against the wall, you wouldn't have to make allowance for the trim. But that is obviously a design choice and not a flaw because it's mirrored side to side.
Interesting thing, when it goes up against the quarter round,
Yep.
you got that much gap that keeps it off the wall.
Yep. Yeah, so it doesn't bang the wall and mess up the wall.
Yeah.
And that's not what the quarter round was there for on the floor. That was to hide the floor movement.
Yeah,
but that's what a chair rail is designed to do, is to keep things from damaging the wall. But this is a beautiful little console table. And once again, because of the difference between end grain and edge grain, you can feel a very little difference where the joints are, but overall, virtually perfect. And again, we've got the contrast between the end grain here and the face grain there. This end grain on the top of that one leg was a little bit different. It looks like there was a knot or a burl, something there.
Something in it, yeah.
And there's no way to know that until you're done sanding. So, but on the other hand, that gives it the natural appeal that this is not a perfect factory-made part. This was made by somebody's hands very lovingly. Excellent work, all three pieces. He's in the basic category because this is the first time he's entered a piece, and that's the definition in this show. But you are obviously a highly skilled maker and very, very good. So he's attributing the design of graciously attributing the design to Cal Taylor. Hal Taylor.
He can look him up good when
Yep.
I watched him pay $1,000 to watch him build a chair over 8 days. And he sold it for $20,000 because it was historic wood from George Washington's estate.
And my guess is he probably studied with or worked with Maloof at some point.
Yes.
He knew Maloof back he built the chair and gave it to Maloof.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because the whole organic form thing is very much that style.
This is Hal's original design that I studied under.
Well, your execution was excellent. The only flaw I saw, the major flaw I saw in all three of these pieces, to be honest with you, the finish behind these slats right here is a little bit more. Well, no, but other than that, I mean, they're just beautiful work. Congratulations.